Welcome to the RoadCast, the official podcast of the European Asphalt Pavement Association. My name is Carsten Karcher. I'm your host of this episode, speaking from Brussels. In each episode, we explore the people, ideas, and innovations shaping the future of asphalt and road construction across Europe and beyond. Today, I'm honored to welcome a guest whose work bridges research, international collaboration, and sustainability in our sector, Professor Kamilla Vasconcelos from the University of São Paulo in Brazil. Kamilla is an associate professor in transportation engineering and coordinates the Laboratory of Pavement Technology at USP. She's active in key international organizations like RILAM, ISAP, TRB, AAPT, and so on, and brings both academic rigor and a global perspective to the table. Kamilla, welcome to the RoadCast.
Thank you, Carsten. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to be here with you and all the other people that will check this recording later. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, great to have you here. Let's start with your journey. You studied in Brazil and in the US, and you have been to Europe, and now you are shaping the next generation of engineers in São Paulo. But from the very beginning, what first sparked your interest in civil engineering and transportation?
To be honest, I'm the first civil engineer in my family, and I always liked math. So I knew more or less that I would be most probably studying in engineering, but not specifically civil engineering. So at the end, I decided, at the beginning, I was not thinking in transportation engineering, but in structural engineering. On the second year of my undergrad in Brazil, I started doing some research as an undergraduate student related to asphalt, and I am on this topic since then. So it's a while. This was in 1998, the first time I started really checking on transportation engineering and on infrastructure materials for pavement, more specifically asphalt.
It's interesting to hear that you are the first engineer in your family. Is there anyone else now, or is it still just you?
It's still just me. Let's see my son. He also likes math,
Yes.
but I'm not sure. My husband is electrical engineer, most probably engineer, but I'm not sure yet. Maybe. Who knows?
Yes. Well, he will become something totally different.
Totally
You never know.
We never know. And
will wait.
I don't have this expectation. So as he decided, that's good.
That's a good start for the career of your son. But coming back to your career, you studied at the University of Texas, A&M. Can you tell us a little bit more about this university and what you did there?
I had a very nice opportunity in US. My research was related to a very large research project going on in US at that time. My supervisor, Professor Dallas Little, was the PI of the Asphalt Consortium, and I started studying and researching on moisture damage of asphalt materials at that time. My former advisor in Brazil, Professor Jorge Soares, he was also a former student from Texas A&M. So that's how I connected with Texas A&M and how I ended up studying in US at that time. So I spent 5 years in US. I was also sponsored by the Brazilian government at that time. And because of that, I had to go back as I graduated. I had a very nice opportunity when I graduated because there was a research position open at the University of São Paulo. So I moved from US back to Brazil in 2009, beginning of 2010. That was when I started working as a researcher at the University of São Paulo.
What is your takeaways from the 5 years in Texas? Something which shaped your personality, your knowledge, especially your knowledge in this field?
I think one important point on this journey was I had to work in different projects. In one way, it was difficult because the projects were not really connected with each other, and I knew I had to end up with a dissertation at the end. But on the other side, the good point was I had the possibility to start to study different materials, to see different perspectives, because I was in projects related to the industry, projects related to the government. And I think it gave me a different perspective in terms of research and in terms of possibilities also. So I think it was the most important takeaway. And I had the possibility also to meet a lot of people that I knew only by the books and research papers. So I had the opportunity to talk to them, to do research with them. And I think it was a very nice experience. Very nice
International
experience.
collaboration. And I think you still build on this contacts today. We come to that later when we talk about your work in international associations. You did your PhD in Texas, or did you finalize it in Brazil then?
No, I did all of it in Texas A&M, but I was funded also by the Brazilian government.
You also have been to Europe, and that's when we met many, many years ago
Yes.
in the University of Karlsruhe at that time. Maybe you give us some insights about the motivation to come to Europe, and what did you do in Karlsruhe and in Germany? And then I will have some more questions on this, of course.
Good, good. Well, it was in 2000. At that time, the Brazilian government had a specific program for undergraduate students from engineering, all engineering in all the country. And the government selected 100 Brazilian students to go to Germany, 100 to go to France, and if I'm not wrong, 20 to go to US. I decided that I wanted to go to Germany. Don't ask me why. I didn't speak German at all at that time. Now also I didn't, but uh, for some reason I wanted to be in German for that period. It was 14 months of interchange program, and the intention of the program was to, okay, those 100 students will be studying engineering, and we have different disciplines uh, along 2 semesters, and in between some internship during the summer. And that was my first international experience at all. It was the first time. I was 20 years old at that time. It was my first international experience. I was, from one side, a little scared because I didn't know exactly what to expect. On the other side, I was extremely excited to know a different country, to be in a different university, to see different perspectives. And I can assure you that year changed completely my professional and also my personal life in terms of the way people connect, the way people interact, and the way that we can work together on different topics. So I made very good friends at that time from different regions in Brazil, but also from different countries, from Germany. So I would say it was a very special year in my life, for
And you
sure.
have very good memories, and you always like to think back at that time. You told me already, and you were also working in the
Yes.
laboratory, in the road construction material laboratory, which I was the head of at that time at the University of Karlsruhe. You are now head of a laboratory too. No, now you are a head of a laboratory, so we changed roles, so to say. What was your motivation to
It
go there?
That was in my fourth year of the bachelor degree. In Brazil, we have 5 year bachelor in civil engineering. So I was on my fourth year, but I started doing research on asphalt materials, asphalt pavements on the second year. So I had already had a few experiences in the lab back in Brazil. So I decided, okay, that's the major that I want for my career. I'll try to do classes and do the internship, everything I can related to asphalt pavements. That's my goal at that time. I had many issues with the classes because at the end I could not understand the classes and I had to study after the class. But at the end, everything worked fine. And the internship was a period, if I'm not wrong, it was 3 months that I've spent in the lab during the summer. And I had really the possibility to interact on a daily basis for the whole day, talking in German. And I felt very much welcome in the lab. For the people, I had you at that time that was helping me with the classes, advising me, do this class, try to do the exam that way, study that way, this book. And also I had people in the lab that helped me with everything I needed at that time. So it was a very special moment. I had the possibility to get back to Karlsruhe in 2018. I went back to the lab. Some people were still there, and the lab much larger than it was in 2000. But it was a very good feeling to be back in Karlsruhe. Really, I felt very comfortable
Yes,
in
I still remember
going
that
back
time a
there.
bit. It was not so intense for me as it was for you, of course, because you were abroad. But I remember you were a very polite, very hardworking student at that time at our laboratory. Everybody loved you, and that was very very nice also for us because sometimes you have people in the lab that are different. Let's say it like this. And that was very nice also for us. For me, being a kind of advisor for you at that time, I already had the feeling that there is a very special person. She knows exactly what her career path should look like, what she wants to study, which skills she wants to get. Hardworking person, and I was absolutely not surprised to hear that many years later I heard of your time in Texas and then going back to Sao Paulo or to Brazil that you are a professor. And that was absolutely not surprising for me because you could see that from, let's say, younger student and the career path and the studies you did. It's not by surprise that you are there and that we will talk later on about much more of your influence
Thank you.
internationally on this. So you are really a good example of someone who is seeking for internationality, for seeking on exchange, knowledge, meeting people on different continents, being absolutely open, explore new things, new knowledge, new people. That's really a good story to tell for our industry and also for females in the industry, I would say. But let's dive a little bit into your research. Now you're the head of a laboratory of pavement technology or pavement materials, and your focus is on sustainability, like the focus of all, let's say, road construction materials laboratories is these days, and all of the engineers. So, what are you currently exploring in your lab?
We are in a large lab or large research group. We are 4 professors right now with different graduate students, masters, PhDs, and also undergraduate research assistants. My personal experience in the past years, I've tried to focus more on the sustainability part of the whole process related to pavements. I have always worked with asphalt pavement or flexible pavements. And right now, we are doing research in biomaterials, alternative binders, also on environmental performance of the projects that we work, different residues, mining residues that we also study for the road construction, but trying to understand better what can our research can do to reduce the carbon footprint of the materials, the carbon footprint of the constructions that we do. That's the main goal of our group right now.
But it's good to see and to know and to understand this is a common approach all over the globe. So you are also in the same direction, reducing the carbon footprint of the construction industry, of the road construction, and the asphalt industry in this sense. you mentioned alternative binders. What is a binder? To inform our listeners a little bit more in detail, what is a binder and why do we need alternative binders?
Let's say that we all know that we need the roads. Most of our roads are made with asphalt binder that came from the petroleum or the oil companies, and but we need them. And what many research groups are doing right now is try to investigate. We don't have a product to just replace the asphalt binder. I don't feel it's possible right now. I'm not sure if this is the goal, but we have to understand better. Okay, the asphalt binder that we have used, can it be reused how many times? Or can we have some other possibilities, depending on the region, for this asphalt material, or this asphalt binder? And that's how many research groups, including ours here, are investigating different sources. In our group, we are working a lot with agricultural waste. Brazil is a very agricultural country, and during this process, we have residues, waste, and we try to use this waste to produce construction materials. Not only biobinder, but also biobinder. There are some techniques that we are exploring along with the biotechnology group from the University of São Paulo to go from the agriculture waste and end up with a commercial product at a certain point. Sometimes people ask, does this product will 100% replace the asphalt binder? My answer right now is not yet, at least not yet. And I'm not sure if we have enough to just replace it. I think we have to combine what asphalt has to bring in terms of durability and how we can add to this. And this is one of the main goals of our group right now, to create those possibilities uh, for the pavement industry.
When we take circularity as the future, then we should try to reuse every ton of asphalt pavement that's already there, every square meter or every ton to be part of a new asphalt material and part of a new asphalt road. So this is the first goal, I would say, this kind of circularity. And then when we need additional new material for whatever purposes, then we will have to reduce the impact of the existing petroleum binders or petroleum-based binders. There are several reasons. I don't know if you have all the same reasons in South America like we have in Europe. In Europe, it's also a question of availability of binder products in the future. Will they be produced in that amount that they have been produced before? Because many cars don't use combustion engines anymore in the future, will not use in the future. So less fuel is needed. Yes, less gasoline is needed. That also means less binder available from the production process. So we need to find alternatives. And secondly, if we look for alternatives, we can already search for carbon neutral or carbon reduced alternatives. And this is, I think, this alternative binder projects that you are exploring there. So sustainability is also very, very high on the agenda in Brazil. Can you say a little bit more about these alternative binders?
Well, we have even the asphalt companies, they are already researching possibilities to add on the asphalt binder in terms of biomaterials, alternative materials. So I believe the intention, or at least the goal for the upcoming years for the asphalt industry in Brazil, would be to have at least part of the asphalt that is commercialized, asphalt binder that is commercialized in the country, that it has a percentage of biomaterial on it. The source of the biomaterial is a very important mark on this process. And I personally believe that we should have different possibilities, especially when you are comparing Brazil, Argentina, Germany. The biomass source has to be important and extremely related to the industry on that specific country, locally, regionally. So in our case here in São Paulo, we have the sugarcane industry. It's extremely important because of the ethanol. So this is a classical residue that we started working with to produce the biobinder because we have a lot. But it does not mean that it's the same case in other countries or other regions. So I think each region, each country should check, because we need a large amount. It's not that we need a can. To build a road, we are talking about tons and tons of materials. And if we do not have enough source of the biomass, it doesn't make sense to start. But I really believe it's very local in terms of material.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Even in Europe, it will not be one solution for all of Europe, all countries or member states in Europe. I see that the same challenges for us. The reason why we call it alternative binders is because there are several alternatives, and we have to explore how good they fit in this process that we already apply with existing bituminous binders, plus the aggregates being the asphalt at the moment, plus some additives maybe. But now, how can we include this alternative binders in the process and make it a long-lasting road, making a low-carbon road, etc., etc. Now, that's one of the challenges.
To add on that, I think one key point on this discussion, we know the durability of an asphalt material. We cannot just replace it for an alternative binder that is not durable, at least the same way as an asphalt binder. We have to focus on the durability, because when we are talking about sustainability, if the product does not last long, at the end, the sustainability maybe it's not the way we thought initially. And it's very, very important to develop products that is going to last at least the same way of the traditional materials that we know already.
How is the state of the Brazilian asphalt industry?
Recycling is a very hot topic right now in Brazil, and we learn a lot from the experience that Europe, the different countries in Europe, US, South Africa, that have more experience related to recycling of asphalt pavements. And I would say that recycling is not spreading the same way in the country. So the south region of Brazil, we have a lot of toll roads, and those concessionaries, they are investing a lot of money to adapt and adjust the way they do the paving or the maintenance of the pavements with respect to recycling. I believe that Brazil has a very promising story related to the cold recycling right now, more than the hot and warm recycling. We have limitations on many asphalt plants to do the hot and warm recycling of asphalt mixtures, but we are much better than we were 5, 10 years ago, for sure. And I truly believe that if we have this discussion again in 5 or 10 years ahead, I'll have a more exciting story and more exciting numbers than we have right now. But I would say we have already projects running with 20, 25, 30% of REP, especially in the southeast region of Brazil. We have companies, industry engaged on making this in the best way they can. And I think it's the only direction that we have. You were mentioning about the circularity. We have to reuse this material for sure. We just cannot put them aside and bring new ones. It's not reasonable anymore, and we know that. So we are adjusting our process, our standards. Not ready yet, but we are on the way. We are on the way.
The contribution of you and the researchers in Brazil to this process?
Here in Brazil, there are many universities that have a very close contact to the concessionaires, to the industry. We have the Asphalt Commission that meets monthly. And in the asphalt commissions, we have industry, we have the government, we have the research centers and universities to discuss about the future of our industry. And I think the main contribution or the main contributions of the universities are to do research more focused on the way we do paving in Brazil. So we have to adapt many times what we get in terms of information and technology from other countries. And a part of that, we are educating new students that will go to the market, will go to the industry, we go to the concessionaires to work with a different mindset, to work knowing that they can do better, they can do in a way different. And again, I think this connection between the academia and the industry, it's extremely important. We cannot move forward without this connection, for sure.
We also explore in Europe that it's very good to have this close connection between industry and research. This is the only way to bring us forward and to develop the innovations, put the innovations on the market, and then we really use these innovations. Coming back to the research and the international research and the international research groups, and also asphalt recycling. And I've learned that you have a role in the RILAM Technical Committee on Performance-Based Asphalt Recycling. So this is exactly what we are just talking about. And this is an international association. So maybe you can say something about RILAM, what RILAM is, and what are you doing there this is global association.
I started working more closely with the RILAM group in 2016 or 17. And it was also a very important mark on my career because I had the possibility to really work together with a group of researchers from different countries and different perspectives. The technical committee it was back at that time, it was TC Rep, recycling asphalt pavement. This technical committee ended and we created like a second phase. The chairs are Professor Gabriele Tebaldi and Professor Eshan Dave. And the second phase, it's called TC PAR, performance-based asphalt recycling. And all the task groups related to this technical committee, they are dealing with different perspectives of recycling. Cold recycling, hot and warm recycling, recycling agents, degree of binder availability, environmental performance. So the idea is to really cover the main topics related to the performance of the recycled asphalt pavements. And this group gave me the possibility to see recycling in different perspectives. And the Brazilian perspective might be different from the other countries. A very interesting part of this process for me, because we really cannot copy and paste standards from other countries. It might not work in our case, for the Brazilian scenario. So we have to understand the pros and cons of each specification of it, or each technology that we understand, to bring the best way to Brazil. And RILAM has been a very interesting exercise on that. Apart, I have a very good friends on this group, and in a sequence, another technical committee was created that I'm really, and I'm also involved, is the technical committee Alternative Paving Materials Sustainability. This technical committee is led by Professor Davide Lopresti and Dr. Emmanuel Chaillet. And I'm more focusing on the recyclability of those alternative materials. So we go back to the circularity that you have mentioned before. So although the asphalt, we want to reuse it many times, as we put an alternative material on it, it changes. It can be a biomaterial, it can be a plastic, it can be a rubber. You added something different on that recipe. And that's something different. We'll make it not recyclable anymore or not. So recyclability, it's a key point for the circularity that we were talking about. So I've learned many things in this process.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it in a better word. So whatever you put into asphalt should never harm the future reusability or recyclability of this material because it's a circular material. That means we have to be a responsible industry and responsible researchers to only make recommendations for things that really work. And the work is not only durability, technology, it's also health, safety, and environment, and of course sustainability, which is part of that, or the other things are part of sustainability. So we should never lose the focus on sustainability, health, and safety when we put alternative materials into roads. And this is important that you have a focus on this, at least from the industry perspective, because we still will need roads in the future in many years, still many years to come. Until we all fly, we need roads to walk, to cycle, to use the car, to transport goods. So we should make sure that we still have the material to build these roads in the future and do not harm it with anything that we put in. Yeah, good, interesting. And you mentioned a lot of professors from all over the world, from Europe, from the US, especially, who are highly engaged in this, as you also are in these processes. And I just understood from your explanation that this international collaboration brings a lot of news, a lot of technology, a lot of ideas to Brazil, and this is where you benefit from this international collaboration.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Apart the personal side, that I made very good friends, that I was able to create new projects apart from RILEM, meeting those professionals and professors and researchers. So I think it's a win-win situation. There is also the possibility for the students to go abroad, as I did in my career at the beginning. So I truly advise my students, if you have the possibility to go to another country to see different things, go. Even though you want to spend 6 months or 1 year and come back, it's something that will change the way you think and you do your research for sure. And maybe RILEM was a start on this. And today, I'm extremely happy that I feel very comfortable in dealing and discussing technically with different professionals in different countries at different universities. I'm truly happy with that.
Yes, and I can only underline what you just said. I have exactly the same experience, and even I had a very long-term career when we met, for example, at that time in 90s and beginning of the 2000s in Germany, being also a researcher. And then I took the opportunity to start working for the European asphalt industry in Brussels. All of a sudden, I had the view on European approaches in different countries. And that really surprised me how different they are, how advanced they were at that time compared to in Germany. And we always thought in Germany that we do things really good. What we did or do, but others are also good, and they others have other solutions, and it's really interesting for yourself and for your personal development and for your mindset and your of course your technical experience to talk to others, to other countries, to other people. You are a good example of that, and I'm also, because I'm working internationally in a European association, so I can only recommend to young people to follow this, at least to study abroad, partly study abroad, to be always open to other countries, to other people, to listen to them, to talk to them, to exchange with them. When we look at the field, you are not only active in RILEM, you're also active in ISAB. It's the International Association of Asphalt Pavement Technologists. But what was the RILEM abbreviation? What does it stand for?
Uh, the acronym is for a French name, but it's pretty much a reunion of laboratories that the goal is to do recommendations on specific topics. That's the main goal. So when we are talking about recycling, what the RILEM group, the technical committee, the TCPAR recommends in terms of recycling agent, in terms of cold recycling, how to prepare the specimens or how to test the specimens, how to add this information to the pavement design. So it can be different perspectives, but always evaluating and seeing what can we recommend. The idea is not to have a recommendation for the European countries. We try to bring to our groups in RILEM people from really the different continents. We have people from Asia. We want people from South America, Central America, Africa. We want all of us to work together, because sometimes a country that it's not really involved, it can bring a different perspective that we didn't mention. And the idea of the RILEM recommendation is to be used worldwide and not only in Europe, for example. So the more people we engage on this process is better, because we really have a larger size in terms of samples, in terms of materials, and it's important for the whole process.
This RILEM work is the project you mentioned. One of the groups or two of the groups you are working in, they always have a limited period of time. They have a clear work plan, and at the end there's a report, and the report is normally publicly available. So
Yes.
all the industry benefits from it all over the world, not only, as you said, South America, Europe, US, but also Asia, Africa, Australia, etc.
And one important point to add on the RILEM discussion is that the industry is also part of this group. So we have industry from different countries working together with the research centers and the universities to add information, to bring a different perspective for that recommendation. So RILEM wants really to bridge the technology that the universities are developing with the experience and the practice that the industry can bring to this process. So it's a joint effort.
So you're working at university, you're an international leader. When we look about the future of our industry and also the young people we want to bring into this industry or that want to join this industry, what kind of advice would you give young professionals, and especially women, because you are a woman, who are considering a career in the, let's say, the road sector?
I personally feel that when you are working with something that you truly like, that you clearly see that you are helping in the advancement of the sector, that you are able to connect with people, I think it makes a huge difference on the outcome. So the research projects we are dealing right now in our research group, I feel excited and passionate about all of them. And it makes a huge difference on the outcome, I believe. So our industry, I think I did not mention, but in Brazil, we have just 12, less than 13% of our roads paved. So we definitely need to keep constructing and building those roads in the upcoming years. So different materials, it's a possibility that we are checking and we are looking for. But more than that, I'll go back to a terminology that we have used, that is the durability. We have to rely on the durability of what we are constructing in terms of pavements. And I think that's a very important goal for us to keep in mind for the upcoming years.
What kind of opportunities do you see in the next years, 5 years, 10 years? We were speaking a little bit about the future in the pavement technology and in this field.
I think recycling will be mandatory, and it's not yet mandatory in many countries. Here in Brazil, there are many places that we just mill and do not use it at all. And I think it's not possible anymore. So we have to find a way. to make it reusable and recyclable more than once? That's another research question. Can we really do it two, three, four times? Or there is a certain point that, okay, you keep adding additives or any other material to try to rejuvenate that aged binder, but there is a limit. What is this limit? That's a key question for us in terms of circularity. But for the 5, 10 years, I would say for the Brazilian scenario, it's at least my personal goal, and I think the goal of most of our research group is to make recycling something common in our country. It's not yet, but I truly believe it's going to be in the 5 to 10 years.
Looking at Japan, it's a quite small country, not compared to Germany, but compared to Brazil. And they are an island. And they don't have so many resources, and they are used to reuse whatever they have. So they are the, let's say, the world champions in reuse of asphalt materials. And they do this since many, many generations. And we know that from US scanning tours, from visits, from research, from studies, that they do quite well in this. And so I think if you have a good technology and a good methodology, there's no end after 3, 4, 5 times recycling. But we still have to innovate on this. That's true. But tell me another material which will be reused 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So we are quite advanced in this, and our level is quite high, and we are doing quite well in it. So we can really be proud of that what we do. Of course, also in Europe, it's not all the same level, like it is not in Brazil. Maybe also there's differences in Europe and in Brazil, or in parts of Europe and Brazil. But we are all on the same page. We are all working on this, and we have a clear strategy, definitely. Coming back to sum up a little bit our discussion we had today about your very interesting career, your very interesting work, your different positions, your learnings, your takeaways. You already gave us an insight on that. I have some, let's say, rapid fire reflections I would like to see from you, would like to hear from you. What's one lesson you've learned the hard way in your career?
Time flies. Time flies, and I think we have to really enjoy the process more than the final result. It has to make sense during the process. And if we take an example of a research project, it's not only the final report that matters. It's the group that you build, the learning process from the students, from the whole group. It's the machines that we're able to buy with that project. So it's the whole package. And the whole package is not only the final result, the final report. So I think the process matters and matters a lot on our journey.
Very nice words. What piece of advice would you give to young researchers?
Maybe save time to your personal life. You have to balance it, but try to be in a place that you feel good. We have different possibilities in terms of work, companies, or doing research. We have possibilities, and it's good to have choices. But I believe to be in a place that you feel welcome, you feel good. It's extremely nice and extremely important for the success on what you are doing. I truly believe
I
that.
fully agree. Fully agree. You have to be comfortable, feel comfortable. You can, yeah, bring the best of you to the project. How would you describe the asphalt industry with 3 words?
Exciting, another word maybe challenge, and the third one maybe possibility. I think we have nice possibilities in our industry.
I had this in different podcasts before or in episodes before that people said whenever they came to the industry, they stayed there because they liked the people, they liked the approaches, they liked the work itself and the challenges, as you said. So people are happy to work in this environment, and I can tell you from all my career so far, so many nice people, and you always meet twice, like we, for example. No, we are not just meeting for the podcast today. We met in different conferences, and I'm sure if you would be in Europe, we meet much more often. We also will meet again,
Of
so not
course,
only
for
twice.
sure.
Camilla, thank you so much for this personal, insightful responses from your side. Really, really nice to have talked to you. And I have to close this because we were already talking much, much longer than we thought, which is great because it was very interesting. And I want to say thank you, of course, for all your openness and the responses.
Thank you, Carsten, and thank you to EAPA for the invitation, for the opportunity to bring the Brazilian reality in terms of asphalt pavements to the RoadCast. And to see you again, to talk to you for 1 hour almost, it was extremely nice. So thank you
You're
again for
welcome.
this opportunity.
And I have to say some words to our listeners, of course. So to close this, thanks for joining us on the Roadcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. Check the show notes below the podcast. Leave a comment. For more stories, innovations, and global perspectives on asphalt, visit the website of the European Asphalt Pavement Association, eapa.org. Until next time, stay engaged, stay curious, and keep building the road ahead.